I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard, and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
if Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Several bad puns later. 10 seconds later. What the hell was that?
What the fuck just happened?
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Oh, come on!
Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
You can hear the energy. Matt is ready to talk about the movie of the year, Captain Marvel. This is spoiler talks. If you want to hear a fantastic rant, go check out our non-spoiler video. I'm sure that we'll be posting that one before this one. And it is also done a little bit differently. We are not in a car. It's not right along with the marks. It is just straight old non-spoiler with a couple of cool pictures in the background.
With this one, we want to talk about the spoilers, and also we have a little bit of extra to add to this one, a little pepper on the steak, if it would be. We were able to bring the ladies in this one, and they also were able to give us some of their perceptions of this movie and how they felt about this movie as well. So we'll be polite and ladies first on this one. So go ahead, Shane, tell us what you thought.
Good one.
Surprised you didn't see that one coming. You didn't see that coming?
Nice. Two and one. So what Marlene, who is my wife, she, I think, enjoyed the movie for the most part. She is not, just to preface this a little bit, she does not watch most of these superhero movies. She's seen a couple here and there. She went and saw Wonder Woman with us. I don't believe she's seen the Avengers Infinity War. We were kind of going over some of the movies that she has seen. So I don't think that she has the quote unquote comic book movie fatigue, especially when it comes to the Marvel type. But she said that she enjoyed it, had some cool action scenes. She brought up some inspiring moments for a girl, you know, like the part she thought was cool when it was, I guess, somewhat of a montage when Brie Larson I should say Carol Danvers, in her several different ages, is falling and people are telling her you can't do it, and then she stands up, and you know, the only thing I thought of was the quote from The Dark Knight.
Why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
But, you know, that obviously doesn't fit here. But she thought that there were aspects that were inspiring, and it served its purpose. She also acknowledged she was a little bit overpowered in terms of just pretty much got these powers and could wreck everybody. And then I explained to her, well, this is the rumors. She's going to be the one who takes out Thanos. So that makes perfect sense. For the most part, I also brought my kids. They thought it was funny. They kept referencing the cat. So that tells you the depth that this story sunk to. It really just reached into their hearts.
The cat.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Meant for children. So my girlfriend, Erin, I took her with us, obviously. She was maybe a little bit harsher on this movie, I guess, than Marlene. She really hated the dialogue for the most part. She thought it was really bad, but she really didn't like Aquaman's either. She kept rolling her eyes at that, and she kept rolling out of it. She put the dialogue was terrible. She actually referenced the very beginning there where she says, "You want to fight?" when she had bad dreams. And she says, that's just stupid. You would say, want to spar or something else. Let's train. But want to fight? Like, she says they're just trying too damn hard. And she recognizes there are a bit of elements to a movie, script, editing, etc. Maybe they had a good script and a terrible editing, or a horrible script and they tried to salvage it with editing. She was talking about the editing and how it was presented. It seemed very choppy and kind of disjointed for her. So she's trying to figure out, was it just a terrible script or terrible editing, and what was the case in that. The music she thought was really poorly placed, but she did like the Gwen Stefani, Just a Girl. She thought that was really well done. She liked that moment.
I actually wanted to research.
Just a girl.
I actually wanted to research, which I'm gonna do real quick. If No Doubt, when that song was released. Hold on, I'm sure you can.
I think 1994. I think we looked it up.
Did you look it up? 1995.
Yeah, we looked up as we're...
Okay, so
okay.
I guess it works. I actually felt like it came out a little bit later. But
same here.
Okay, so I wasn't the only one. When it was playing, I'm like, okay, it's a perfect fitting song, supposed to be based in the 90s. You got No Doubt, Gwen Stefani, singing Just a Girl. So I'm like, okay, it fits perfectly, but I think the timeline's off here. And then, nope, I stand corrected. So carry on.
One of the aspects that she personally liked is that when she was in high school and growing up, she actually did have a pilot's license, and she flew gliders down in California. So I knew she was going to have a little bit of a soft spot for Carol Danvers in general, being a pilot. So I knew that coming into it, that she was going to be able to connect with her on that aspect. And for some people that may say like, hey, that cockpit joke is just them trying to portray men poorly, she actually said growing up she did hear that. Guys telling her there's a reason why it's called the cockpit. And so if you're thinking that's just them being dicks, not so much. But she did say everything else, though, seemed to be poorly researched anyway. You don't turn your head to look at the back of the person behind you in the plane. It's too loud. There's a reason why you have equipment that looks stupid. She kept turning around, telling her it's okay or whatever. She even talked about the other plane, the one they retrofitted when they're going up. She said it'd be so damn loud, there's no way anybody could hear anything, and they'd all probably blow their eardrums because they didn't have any kind of ear protection on. So she took this seriously. Let's just say that for the most part. She actually referenced the little dogfight that they had down in the canyon. It was like a rip off of Star Wars. I said it was Independence Day, but whatever. She just wanted to make fun of that. And she said that weren't test pilots. How did they know evasive maneuvers and combat fighting? It was her other thing. So she picked this part in the areas that she knew best. Let's just say that for sure. She said her sassiness was kind of dumb, and she just has looks, and she makes some comments and smirks and smile. Do they not know what a sassy lady is? And so the sassiness aspect of it, she really thought was kind of forced. And then she just has some other elements of the story of that I'm going to bring up later on. And then she actually, personally for her, she felt, and I asked her if this was just the actress didn't portray it as well as she wanted it, or if it was the writing. But when Carol Danvers finds out that she was manipulated by the Kree and that they erased her memories and they falsified memories and all this stuff, when she kind of figures that all out and they took all this stuff away from her, she felt that there was a very huge lack of emotion. Like if that was her, or she would think almost anybody else, they'd be flipping out and just wrecking the shit out of everything, blowing up the ship and stuff like that. I thought they kind of tried that. Maybe it was lackluster, and I tried to ask her if she thought it was the actress's inability to convey that or the script, but she just it just wasn't emotional enough. That's how her reaction was.
All right, so surprisingly, I do have a couple minor pros, I guess. I think probably one of the coolest parts of this movie was right before the movie even started, the brief Stan Lee tribute that they had, how they incorporated all of his cameos in the Marvel Studios
Almost
logo.
all. They don't have his Spider-Man or Deadpool.
That's true. Yeah, but I thought that was really cool. And then we actually do get a Stan Lee cameo in this, which I couldn't really think of how the timeline worked, with his death and filming and stuff like that. But
he will be in the Avengers Endgame as well.
Okay,
they did get him. They did get him in both.
Nice. Some of the 90s references. Although I'm disappointed that they didn't do more, because I was really hoping, I've talked about this when they first came out and said this is going to be based in the 90s, I was really hoping for a lot more references. Aside from the blockbuster, there was the pager, some of the music, obviously, but for the most part, they just kind of had here's a couple of Easter eggs for you, and then that was it. Most of the humor, I think almost all of it, fell completely flat, so that's a negative, but Matt and I both laughed at the Hannibal Lecter comment by Nick Fury, or Fury as he prefers to be called. So
Nicholas.
So that part was hilarious with the cat when they're putting the little mask on the cat. I did think this was something that was a little bit different, was the storytelling for her origin. Like a lot of the flashbacks that were given, I thought it was unique. I don't know if I preferred it. Obviously, she doesn't have her memory, so they're kind of piecing it together as it goes. But it was different. Yeah, I'll at least say that. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is awesome and groundbreaking or anything. But it was different, so I thought it was kind of cool.
I'm not honestly trying to be a dick, but I really don't have any pros for the movie. I guess maybe Nick Fury was cool. We'll go with that.
Wow.
There's nothing that wowed me. I was actually stoked when I realized that Lee Pace was coming back as Ronan, because I know a lot of people shit on Ronan as a villain, but until the very end of Guardians, he's actually a pretty sweet villain.
No, he is. Yeah, no, I agree. Until the dance thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got actually stoked for him to be in this movie. Fucking cameo. Like, he barely even in it. I think Stan Lee's in it longer than he is. And
is that the same actor?
Yeah. They brought back the same guy.
It didn't look like him at all.
Because they didn't do the same face paint. They didn't have the black and everything around his eyes. They didn't have the same headgear.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, they didn't do exactly the same. Yeah, this was one of my biggest complaints about this movie, is it literally looked like it was written and made by people that have never seen any of the other Marvel movies.
That's the MCU in a nutshell.
Well, this one's just kind of like, because it's a prequel, it has to justify things. And this is basically the Solo to the MCU. They try to explain all this shit that, some of the things, the mysteries that have been in the MCU. They try to explain these things, and it just falls flat every time. Like, it was a joke. It was literally a joke on how Nick Fury lost his eye. Like, they were talking about, oh, the cat's gonna scratch it out. There was jokes about that. They actually did that. They did that. I remember I was looking on Instagram before this movie, like yesterday, and there was a person that said, this is a spoiler. This is a spoiler. And like, it was all these pre-spoilers. I'm like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. And I kept scrolling, and it said, Goose takes out Nick Fury's eye. And I was like, that's not a spoiler, you assholes. It was like a joke. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was one of these joke spoilers. No, it was real. It was real. I can't believe that. So when he says that in Captain America, it's a fucking cat. Or alien squid cat. Whatever the hell it is. Oh, I can't believe that. I can't believe they retrofitted it to that. The Tesseract, I'm trying to figure out where the timeline falls on that. I actually looked it up a little bit. Howard Stark actually finds it after Captain America crashes it, but they don't really say what happens with it after that. And somehow it's given to Marvel, to the scientist woman, and she's just making a light speed engine, which, okay, all of a sudden these superly advanced fucking beings out in the universe don't know how to make a light speed engine, but they got all this other amazing tech, and it's real convenient when comms don't work. All of a sudden the radio doesn't work when they can't talk to each other. That's real convenient as well. It was just so poorly done. And then and then one of the worst retcons of them all was the Avengers Initiative.
Yeah.
He originally has it titled something else, and because you see it's Carol Avenger Danvers, he changes it to the Avengers Initiative. Are you kidding me? That is the worst retcon ever. So now all that stuff that was talked about in the first Avengers about how they needed the Tesseract to defend against people like Thor and them, it didn't really fucking matter because he already knew a flying space Super Saiyan god chick that could destroy people anyway. So, and wreck a whole armada of ships and missiles within a failed swoop. But yet Thor impresses him? Pfft.
Yeah, I actually, on that note, I thought it was kind of funny in a like eye-rolling way that she says, she hands him the pager and says, only use this in emergencies, in case of emergencies. But, if you look at all the Avengers movies, none of those are he considered an emergency. Like, oh yeah, they got it. They got this. But, then I guess when half of the planet gets wiped out, okay, now it's time to bring her in. So that was just but
he doesn't even know that's happening. He just knows a couple people around him are disappearing. He doesn't even know half the fucking planet.
Yeah, that's true. And he's like, oh shit. And then it's like, at what point do you go, okay, maybe we should bring in the big guns? Like,
and that's my exact comparison too. It's like Justice League. You know how Justice League felt like it was a movie written by someone that didn't watch the previous DC movies? Like they retcon Cyborg's origin and a lot of other things that happened in it as well.
The world needs you. But does it need you? Tell me, do you bleed? Yeah. Oh, something is definitely bleeding.
Because it was a completely different director that did the reshoots. That's what this feels like. It feels like a guy or a group of people that did not watch these other movies. Or if they did, they just like, fuck them. No one pays attention to this shit anyway. And just reasons. Why do these Kree and Skrulls hate each other? Reasons. Like, we have no reason why this war started. We have no reason why the war continues, other than apparently the Kree is just dickheads.
Power. Yeah, they want to take over. They reference it very slightly that they want to take over essentially the galaxy, and that's they enslave the people, the Skrulls, and the Skrulls, tried fighting back, and then they scurried away. Essentially, as from what I gathered, there was a lot of details in this that were very just subtle. They didn't make sense, but it was like, well, let's throw this in here just so we can cover our bases. But it really, you're like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. There was quite a few of them in here that were just very subtle and like, yeah, whatever. Like, fuck off. We don't care about the amount of detail.
There's just reasons why things happen, and you just don't know why. Like, at the very beginning, I'm honestly confused. I actually said, I don't know what the fuck's going on in the beginning, because they're just bombing this planet. Then they come down. They're like, let's not intermingle with the locals. We need to find this one guy. Well, we never find out whatever even happened to that guy. They just apparently shapeshifted and took him over. And it was just weird. It was just really weird. I had no idea what was going on. Then the twist of, it turns out Ben Mendelsohn's Skrull Talos is actually the quote-unquote good guy or the misunderstood guy. And so now it's the Kree that are the dickheads, and it's Jude Law's character, who everybody thought was going to be Captain Marvel. Turns out he's the douchebag of all douchebags, and they've implanted memories into her and all this crap. And the twist I thought was kind of creative, but at the same time it just didn't make sense, because if these people are just trying to find this warp drive, then why are they shooting at her in the beginning when they get to Earth? They're shooting at Nick Fury and her, and that's what starts that whole chase. Like, why are they even engaging her? They don't even realize she's really a huge key element until they get into that storage facility where they have all the documents and stuff, and then they realize, oh, like, she's a key. She's the big guns that we need to figure out where this floating ship that's been cloaked this whole time, where my family is. That kid did not look 6 years old, by the way. Like, that kid looked younger than 6. I don't know how you could determine the age of a Skrull, but anyway.
That's pretty impressive.
I'm just saying that kid is not his kid. That's what I'm saying, and they're going to be on Jerry Springer because it's the 90s.
Right, exactly. That's perfect. My biggest problem with this movie, and I touched on it a little bit in the non-spoiler, is it just felt very mundane, and it just served its purpose. And as I was talking, with my wife when we left this movie, she asked me what I thought, and that was my reaction. Is they needed a movie they know that the Captain Marvel is going to be the one who takes out Thanos, so that they're like, okay, she has to be completely overpowered. They need it to be based before everything else that happened. Then they also need an important quote-unquote reason for her to leave, a mission for her to leave and not come back, and then give the little pager to Fury. There's certain things that they said, okay, we have to do this. Now let's build a story around it. Instead of having like a good, inspirational, solid script and solid story, and then kind of building from there, and maybe having these details thrown in. It felt like the entire movie was built around those details. We know these certain things have to happen. Now let's kind of throw in some sort of story and plot behind that instead of the other way around. Even before recording this, Matt and I had this discussion that I felt that this didn't pull any emotion out of me. And so I didn't hate it.
You yawned like 600 times.
Yes. Aside from the fact that it was a 10 a.m. showing, that's basically what I felt like. I wasn't frustrated with how dumb it was, like some of the other Marvel movies, and I wasn't like, okay, like pleasantly surprised, like, Ant-Man and Wasp. It was just there. It was just pretty bland and like, okay. And as I mentioned, I believe on the non-spoiler, that I've read a lot of things of, what Marvel formula, and this fits right in that. I also felt like a lot of it was so forced that towards the end of the movie, until the third act, our entire theater was pretty dead. So most of the jokes felt like it was supposed to have a canned laugh track, like a sitcom that was supposed to be behind it. Like so many of them, they're just zinging at you, and not a single soul in the theater laughed. And then as the movie progressed, you'd have a couple chuckles, and then finally you get to the third act with the cat, and now it's all, hunky dory and laugh out louds and LMAOs and all sorts of shit. So I felt like so much of it was forced because the overall details that they had to make sure happened were the focal point. Yeah,
it's just lackluster. It's bland. It's like you said. I don't understand. I'm just so surprised that they did this with the movie. It's Disney, a multi-billion-dollar company. This is their first female-led superhero, and it really felt like they didn't even bother to try. It was, at least Black Panther felt like they tried. I may not really like that movie that much. It's okay. I've only watched it once, but this movie doesn't even feel like they tried. And it's very mind-boggling to me what they did with this movie. I don't know if they just didn't believe in the script or what, or they just really wanted to push this out before Avengers because they needed her to be in Avengers.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like this entire movie, like I said, was to service the fact that now she's going to be in Avengers and she's going to come save the day. And so everything else was missed because of that. That like they knew, okay, she's going to be in the Avengers, she's got to be overpowered, and it just didn't fit. And I know we're going a little bit long on this, but I actually meant to touch on this a little in the non-spoiler, was Brie Larson's acting. A lot of people, as we saw in the trailers and things leading up to it, people were criticizing her acting. And she's obviously, an Oscar winning actress or whatever. Sorry, I don't know her credentials. I feel like the majority of this movie, her acting did not fit. And this is my opinion. And no, I'm not an actor. I'm not an acting coach or anything like that. I just know when I watch a movie, the emotion that I'm supposed to be feeling, and it just didn't work for the majority of the time. Then there's other times where I'm like, okay, I can sense that. I get what the message she's trying to deliver, or the emotion she's trying to convey. But for the most part, I do feel like a lot of the criticisms were pretty accurate. Like they were trying to make her this stoic, tough person. And it just kind of came across as lazy, as a lazy performance. I actually thought her partner Maria, or whatever, her best friend, I felt that she had more of an emotional performance in this movie than Brie Larson did. And I don't know if you agree or not, but that's just it. I wanted to make sure that we covered that because it was something that a lot of people had talked about.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention too much to her acting because I was just more blown away by the dialogue, I think. And
that definitely did not help. The dialogue did not help her at all. It was, again, just an afterthought. We know the pieces that we need to put in place here, and the dialogue was definitely an afterthought, but the delivery in some aspects, I'm like, it was a little rough.
I did feel like there was an overabundance of smirks and smiles from her. It's like they heard all that criticism from the first trailer, and they're like, all right, go back in and get these zoomed in shots of her face where she smirks or smiles.
Yeah, but they were all half-assed.
Yeah, I know they were half-assed, but it was just every single line she would give, she'd have a smirk or a smile.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
I tried, I even told this to Marlene, my wife. I said, I wish we were doing a video just for the fact that I wanted to mock her like half smiles and her little eyebrow raises, because they were very like trying to be sarcastic or quippy kind of, but they were like, here's a smirk, here's a eyebrow raise, here's like a, oh, I gotcha.
That was my girlfriend Erin's biggest issue, is that her sassiness was like fake. It's like, oh, you had her smirk and smile after she said something. That's not a sassy girl. That's not what it is. Like, do you not know what that is? That was one of her big issues with it. The other thing, though, I don't know if it's her suit. I talked about this with Shane briefly after we got out of the thing. I don't know if it was like the tightness of her suit. It didn't seem really like it was that tight. And as we've seen in those behind the scene things, it's actually pretty loose, if you know why. She can't run worth a shit. I don't know what the hell was wrong with her. She couldn't bend her knees or something, but the running in this is just comical. And somebody sent us this thing of like, because there was this brief thing where it showed her running, and it was like all these clips of the dumb way that Steven Seagal runs. And like, I think Steven Seagal actually may run better than her, the way these look. It was just weird. It was making me laugh. I couldn't stop laughing, and my girlfriend was getting mad at me because she's just like running, and I'm like, oh my God, just what's wrong with her? Like, she just does. There was another point where she was running, and then the other female one with the paint on her, the Kree soldier or whatever she was, she's running, and she looks like the T-1000. She's got her hands open. She's like, oh, going down the thing. She looks great. And then like Brie Larson's next to her, looking like, I don't know, she got something stuck somewhere. I don't know. It was just so weird. It's like these two people were right next to each other running, and there's a clear difference on one person that knows how to run and the other one doesn't. So I don't know. It just kept making me laugh. And the way she stood was making me laugh, because she always had clenched fist. She walked around clenched fist. It's like that meme, that dank meme of the kid that has his clenched fist. She walked around like that all the time. I was like, man, if someone hands her something, she's not gonna be able to grab it, because she's just clenched fist. Like, she's just waiting for the fist bump all the time. I don't know. It was just... there was like a joke. I thought it was a joke, and I'm wondering if it's real. Some people were saying that she got inspiration for her walking and acting from RoboCop, and I'm starting to think maybe she did. Because the way she moved, it looked like RoboCop. It was just really weird. It was really weird, and I don't know. It just I think maybe the suit was restricting her somehow. I think there was plates in the knees, and she couldn't bend her knees or something. I don't know. It was just very weird how she was walking. Just a minor nitpick, I guess, there. It was making me laugh, though. It was just making me laugh. That's for sure. So well, I guess that's a pro. Good. That's a pro.
Yep, there you go. And I just want to also throw out that people were bitching about the slow-mo walking in BVS. Holy shit. This was so overused, the slow-mo walking in like every scene, like, look how badass I am, and my hair flopping in the slow-mo wind. And I was just like, all right, this is enough. I even leaned over to Matt during the movie and said, and they bitched about the BVS slow-mo walking.
So a score.
Oh, shit. I guess a 2? Maybe? I did not give this any thought this time, so as you can tell, I'm stuttering. I. All right, go ahead.
It's not the worst movie in the MCU for me personally. I know a lot of people are saying it's the worst movie in the MCU. I still think Iron Man 3 is, because I actually get angry watching that one because of how bad it is. I wouldn't say it's necessarily better than Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok I didn't like at all, so I'm gonna have to give it a lower score than Ragnarok. So 1.5 out of 5 marks.
Bam, there you go.
In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. You know, all these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.